This tutorial is for showcasing a game I already developed, where a ball jumps over obstacles. The aim of the video is to explain how to integrate both keyboard and mouse controls in a game. For example, the ball jumps using the spacebar, while the mouse button is used to start and restart the game. I have also included sound effects for jumping and collisions, and visual elements such as the illusion of ground and background movement. These features help to demonstrate how to enhance gameplay user experience during game development. In this tutorial, we begin by creating a new Python file on the computer screen and importing the required libraries. The game featured in this video has already been developed, and the tutorial focuses on explaining how it was built using Python with Pyglet as the primary library. Pyglet is a lightweight and efficient multimedia library that supports window management, graphics rendering, and sound playback, making it an excellent choice for game development. The tutorial walks through key features of the game, such as using the spacebar to make the ball jump and the mouse button to start or restart the game, illustrating how to implement both keyboard and mouse input. It also explains how sound effects were added for jumping and collisions, and how visual elements like moving ground and background were used to create an illusion of motion. The goal of this tutorial is to help viewers understand how to use Pyglet effectively while building an engaging and interactive game. In this part of the tutorial, we create a new game window using Pyglet, which acts as the main display area for all game elements, such as the ball, obstacles, and background. We define its size, title, and background color, and set it up to handle user input like keyboard and mouse events. The window continuously updates to support smooth animations, forming the foundation for an interactive gaming experience. Now we set up the game elements to display on the window. When the game starts, this involves preparing and positioning all the visual components using Pyglet's drawing and sprite tools, ensuring everything is ready and properly arranged for smooth gameplay from the beginning. Batching the game elements is important because it reduces the workload on the computer by grouping multiple draw calls into a single operation. This improves performance and helps the game run more smoothly, especially when handling many visual components at once. Now we are going to give our player a shape in the game by assigning a rectangular form. At this stage of the coding, the player is represented as a simple rectangle, which helps define its size, position, and boundaries within the game window. This shape acts as the player's visual and physical representation, making it easier to manage movements, detect collisions with obstacles, and interact with other game elements. Using a rectangle simplifies these processes and provides a clear foundation to build more complex behaviors later in the development. We are coding to add a special feature that makes our player jump automatically when the game starts. We also set values for gravity and the ground surface, which control how the player moves and lands during the jump. Gravity pulls the player back down after jumping, while the ground surface defines the point where the player stops falling, creating a realistic and smooth jumping motion. Now we are going to create obstacles in the game using rectangular shapes. With Pyglet, these rectangles help define the obstacle size and position on the screen, making it straightforward to manage their appearance and behavior. Using simple shapes like rectangles also makes collision detection with the player easier and more efficient, which is essential for gameplay mechanics. This approach allows us to quickly add multiple obstacles and control their movement or interaction within the game environment. We are now coding the user interface elements, which play a crucial role in making the game more user-friendly and engaging. These elements typically include the score display, which keeps track of the player's progress, clear guidelines or instructions shown at the start of the game to help players understand how to play, and game over messages that appear when the player loses. Adding these user interface components not only provides important information but also improves the overall flow and experience of the game by keeping players informed and motivated. Properly designed interface elements help make the game feel polished and easier to navigate. We are going to code the text that appears when the game starts, such as instructions or a welcome message. Using a simple and straightforward approach ensures this tutorial remains easy to follow and user-friendly. The goal is to clearly demonstrate how to display important information without making the code too complicated, so you can quickly grasp the key ideas and apply them to your own projects. This way, the tutorial is efficient and respectful of your time, while helping you build a solid foundation for your game. Now we are coding the game over text using the same simple and easy approach. This text will appear clearly on the screen when the player loses, providing immediate feedback and letting them know the game has ended. Keeping the code straightforward ensures that the tutorial remains accessible and helps you understand how to display important messages without unnecessary complexity. We truly hope that our approach feels straightforward and easy to understand, helping you build confidence as you follow along. By focusing on clear explanations and practical examples, we aim to make complex concepts accessible even if you are new to game development. Our goal is to guide you step by step without overwhelming you, so you can see real progress and feel motivated to continue creating your own games. Now we are setting up the clock using Pyglet's clock module. This clock helps control the timing and update rate of the game, ensuring that animations, movements, and other game events happen smoothly and consistently. By scheduling regular updates with the clock, we can keep the gameplay running at a steady pace regardless of the computer's performance. In Pyglet, the draw function is very important because it handles all the visual elements that appear on the screen. Every time the game window refreshes, the draw function is called to display everything, such as the player, obstacles, background, score, and text. Without this function, the game would not be able to show any updates or changes happening during gameplay. In coding, if-else conditions are commonly used and are a key part of building interactive and responsive games. They allow the program to make decisions based on certain situations, such as checking if the player has pressed the jump key, if the ball has collided with an obstacle, if the game is over. These conditions help control what should happen next, whether it's updating the score, showing a game over message, restarting the game. By using if-else logic, we can guide the game to react correctly to different events and user inputs. This makes the gameplay smooth, dynamic, and meaningful, as the game constantly checks conditions and adjusts what happens in real time. Repeating the same if-else process for obstacles also helps make the logic clear and easy to understand. By using similar conditions to check whether the player has hit an obstacle or if the obstacle has moved off screen, we can manage the game's behavior in a consistent and organized way. This repetition reinforces how important if-else statements are in controlling different parts of the game. It also shows how the same logical structure can be applied to multiple elements, making the code more readable, easier to debug, and simple to expand as the game grows. We are now coding the movement of obstacles and implementing collision detection to make the game more interactive and engaging. The obstacles are programmed to move across the screen, usually from right to left, creating a constant challenge for the player to avoid them. At the same time, we add logic to check for collisions between the player and any obstacle. If a collision is detected, it triggers a specific outcome, such as ending the game or displaying a game over message. This combination of movement and collision detection is a key part of the gameplay, as it brings action and purpose to the player's movements. It also helps demonstrate how different parts of the game work together to create a smooth and responsive experience. We are now coding the cleanup process for obstacles that move off the screen. As the game runs, new obstacles keep appearing, and those that move out of view are no longer needed. To keep the game efficient and prevent it from slowing down, we remove these off-screen obstacles from memory. This step is important because it helps manage resources, keeps the game running smoothly, and avoids cluttering the code with unnecessary elements. Regularly cleaning up off-screen objects ensures that the game stays responsive and performs well even as it continues for a longer time. Now we are setting the game scoring rate, which controls how the player's score increases during gameplay. The scoring system is typically tied to time or progress, meaning the longer the player survives or the more obstacles they avoid, the higher their score becomes. This gradual increase in score encourages players to stay in the game longer and try to improve with each attempt. Setting a clear and consistent scoring rate helps add purpose and challenge, making the gameplay more engaging and rewarding. We are now coding the collision detection system, which is a crucial part of making the game interactive and challenging. This system checks whether the player comes into contact with any obstacles during gameplay. If a collision is detected, it usually triggers a specific response, such as ending the game, displaying a game over message. Collision detection is important because it creates clear consequences for player actions and helps define the rules of the game. By accurately checking for overlaps between the player and obstacles, we ensure fair and responsive gameplay that feels smooth and realistic. We are now going to code the functionality that allows the player to control the game using the keyboard, focusing on the spacebar as the key to make the player jump. This means that whenever the spacebar is pressed, the player will perform a jump action to avoid obstacles on the screen. Adding this feature not only makes the game interactive but also teaches how to detect and respond. Keyboard input using code. Handling the spacebar input introduces an important part of game development, connecting player actions with in-game events. It also helps improve gameplay dynamics by giving players a clear and responsive way to control the character. By setting up this simple but essential control, we bring the game to life and make it engaging for the user. We are now adding mouse input to the game, allowing the player to start and restart the game by clicking. This feature adds another layer of interactivity and makes the game more user-friendly, especially for players who prefer using the mouse. By detecting mouse clicks, we can control key game states, such as beginning the game from the start screen or restarting it after a game over. This is an important step in improving the overall user experience, as it gives players simple and intuitive ways to navigate through the game without relying only on the keyboard. Integrating both mouse and keyboard inputs also demonstrates how to handle multiple forms of user interaction in game development. We are trying to keep things as simple and easy to understand as possible so that anyone following the tutorial can learn without feeling overwhelmed. Our goal is to explain each part of the code clearly and use straightforward logic to help you grasp the main ideas quickly. By focusing on basic concepts and gradually building up, we make it easier for beginners to follow along and apply what they have learned to their own projects. Simplicity in both coding and explanation ensures a smooth and enjoyable learning experience. This is the final step, where we write the code to run the entire game. By executing this part, we bring together all the elements, like graphics, input handling, game logic, and updates, so the game starts and runs smoothly. The basic structure of the game has now been successfully set up, and this is the right time to revisit and carefully recheck the code. Doing so is one of the best practices in programming, especially when you are learning and still getting comfortable with new concepts. Going back through your code helps you understand how different parts are connected and reinforces what you have learned throughout the development process. More importantly, it gives you the chance to identify and fix small errors or oversights that might seem minor now, but could cause major problems when the game runs. Reviewing your work not only strengthens your understanding but also builds good habits that will benefit you in future projects. It ensures that everything is functioning smoothly, prepares the foundation for adding more features or making improvements later on. We truly hope you appreciate the approach we have followed throughout this tutorial, where we not only write code, but also take the time to highlight common mistakes and explain how to fix them. This method is designed to support learning in the most effective way by helping you understand both what works, why it works, as well as what can go wrong and how to correct it. Identifying and resolving these errors step by step helps reinforce the logic behind the code, strengthens your overall understanding. This approach aims to build a strong foundation in coding, especially for beginners, by encouraging attention to detail and a problem-solving mindset. By learning to think critically and debug confidently, you will be better prepared to write clean, efficient code in your own future projects. We believe this clear and thoughtful way of teaching will make your journey into programming more rewarding and long-lasting. As we go through the code, we notice that there are several basic but critical mistakes that need attention. These errors may seem small or easy to overlook, such as a misspelled variable name or forgetting to call a necessary function, but they can have a significant impact when we try to run the game. Even a single misplaced character or incorrect condition can prevent the entire program from working as expected. That's why it's so important to review your code, especially when you are still learning. These small mistakes are part of the learning process, and identifying them now helps build a strong habit of debugging and careful coding. Fixing these early not only ensures that the game functions properly, but also gives you a deeper understanding of how each line of code contributes to the overall program. I believe I have fixed most of the mistakes in the code, and I truly hope that Going through this process has helped you learn from them as well, making errors as a natural and valuable part of learning to code, and each correction brings more clarity and understanding. By working through these mistakes together, you have not only improved the quality of the game but also strengthened your grasp of key programming concepts. Hopefully, this experience will help you avoid similar issues in the future and give you more confidence as you continue your coding journey. The code is running well, but there is a small issue with restarting the game that needs to be addressed. This kind of problem is quite common, especially when dealing with game states. Resetting variables. We are now going to focus on fixing this issue to make sure the game restarts smoothly without any unexpected behavior. Solving this will help us better understand how to properly manage the game loop, reset conditions, and maintain a consistent experience for the player. It's also a great opportunity to reinforce the importance of thoroughly testing each feature to ensure everything works as intended. We have successfully run the code, and both the game start and restart functions are working smoothly now, with the basic structure complete and all key features functioning as intended. It's the perfect time to move forward and start improving our game. This next phase is all about enhancement, adding more polish, refining gameplay, and possibly introducing new features to make the experience more engaging and enjoyable. Whether it's improving visuals, adding difficulty levels, fine-tuning the controls, or enriching the user interface, this is where creativity meets functionality. With a solid foundation already in place, we can now focus on taking the game to the next level. Before we move on to adding new features to our game, we are going to take some time to test different parts of the code. This step is important because it helps you strengthen your understanding of how each section works and how everything fits together. Testing your code regularly, especially while learning, is a very effective practice. It not only helps you catch hidden bugs, but also allows you to explore how small changes affect the game's behavior. By reviewing and testing the existing logic, you gain deeper insights and build the confidence needed to implement more advanced features later on. This careful, step-by-step approach leads to cleaner, more reliable code and a stronger foundation in programming. We hope you are enjoying this process because this kind of hands-on practice is one of the best ways to make your concepts stronger, especially if you are new to coding. Writing code, testing it, finding mistakes, and fixing them all contribute to real understanding that goes far beyond just reading or watching tutorials. Each step you take builds your confidence and helps you see how different pieces of a program work together. By actively engaging with the code and exploring how changes affect the outcome, you are developing problem-solving skills that are essential for any programmer. Keep going. You are building a solid foundation that will support all your future projects. If you are new to coding, practice is truly the best thing you can do. Writing code regularly, testing different ideas, and fixing mistakes helps you understand how programming works far better than just reading or watching. Every time you build something, no matter how simple, you learn something valuable through practice. Concepts become clearer, logic becomes easier to follow, and you start to develop the problem-solving mindset that's essential in coding. Don't worry about getting everything right the first time. What matters is consistency and learning from every attempt. Over time, all the small efforts add up and turn into real skill. we are now going to add a visible ground surface to our game, which will enhance both the visual appeal and the clarity of gameplay. Until now, the player may have seen objects moving and jumping without a clear reference to what they are jumping from or landing on. By creating a defined ground layer, we give the game a more realistic and structured feel, helping players visually understand where the gameplay is happening. This not only improves the look of the game, but also supports the game mechanics by reinforcing the idea of gravity and collision. It's a simple addition, but it significantly boosts the player's experience by making the environment more engaging and intuitive. Plus, it's a great opportunity to practice adding new visual elements and positioning them accurately within the game window. Now we are going to add sound effects to the game, which is an important step in making the gameplay experience more immersive and dynamic. Sound adds an extra layer of feedback for the player, making actions like jumping or hitting an obstacle feel more responsive and engaging. We will include a sound that plays every time the player jumps and another one that triggers when the player collides with an obstacle. These audio cues help reinforce the mechanics of the game and make it feel more complete. Adding sound not only improves the overall experience, but also gives you a chance to learn how to work with media files, integrate them into your code using libraries like Pyglet. It's a simple enhancement, but it has a big impact on how the game feels to play. Now we are going to add a background image to the game to make it more visually appealing and realistic. A background helps set the atmosphere and gives the game a proper setting. Instead of just a plain screen, it adds depth to the scene and makes the gameplay environment more engaging for the player. Whether it's a sky, a cityscape, or a nature scene, a well-chosen background image can significantly improve the overall look and feel of the game. This step also helps you practice how to load and position images correctly using Pyglet, giving you more control over the game's design and visual style. It's a small addition, but one that brings the game closer to a polished final product. Now is a good time to try different background images to see which one works best for your game. Testing a few options helps you find what looks and feels right, and it also gives you practice in handling images and managing visuals in your code. Even small visual changes can make a big difference in the overall experience. We are now going to change the player's shape from a square to a circle to give it a more natural, ball-like appearance. This change may seem small, but it plays a big role in improving the visual feel and overall polish of the game. A circular shape is better suited for jumping and rolling movements, and it makes the player character appear more dynamic and lively during gameplay. It also aligns better with the idea of a bouncing or jumping ball, which adds to the realism and consistency of the design. Making this adjustment not only enhances the aesthetics, but also gives us a chance to explore different shape drawing methods in Pyglet, helping you understand how to customize visual elements to match the theme and style of your game more effectively. Mistakes and errors are a natural part of the coding process, especially when you are learning something new. What truly matters is how you respond to them. By improving yourself, learning from each issue, and continuously working to make things better, every bug you fix and every problem you solve builds your confidence and deepens your understanding. It's not about being perfect from the start, but about growing step by step through practice, patience, and persistence. Each correction is a sign of progress, showing that you are actively engaging with the code and becoming a better programmer with every line you write. We are now incorporating real square-shaped obstacles in the form of boxes to enhance the visual appeal and structure of the game. Using clearly defined shapes like boxes makes the obstacles look more realistic and helps create a consistent and organized game environment. This clarity is important because it allows players to better understand where the challenges are and time their actions more accurately. Well-designed obstacles not only improve the aesthetics but also contribute to smoother gameplay, as players can easily judge distances and react. This update is a great way to practice working with shapes and collision detection in your code, while also making the game feel more professional and engaging. Overall, adding box-shaped obstacles is a simple but effective way to elevate the quality of the game. We are committed to making everything as simple and easy to follow as possible, focusing on step throughout the process. This approach helps ensure that each concept is clear and manageable, allowing you to build your skills gradually without feeling overwhelmed. By breaking down the development into small, understandable steps, we make it easier to track progress, identify mistakes, and reinforce learning at every stage. This careful, methodical way of working not only makes coding more accessible but also lays a strong foundation for more complex projects in the future. Don't be mad or frustrated when you make mistakes. That's a normal part of learning and growing as a coder. Mistakes are simply opportunities to understand something better and improve your skills. Instead of feeling upset, try to see errors as helpful feedback that guides you toward the right solution. Being patient and kind to yourself during this process makes learning more enjoyable and keeps you motivated to keep going. Remember, every great programmer started by making plenty of mistakes and learning from them. Coding is easy once you get the hang of it. It mainly takes time and practice to learn the basics. As you become more comfortable with the logic and syntax, you will find it's a powerful tool to bring your creativity to life. Through coding, you can transform your ideas into real projects, games, apps, or anything you imagine. It's like having a superpower that lets you build and shape whatever you dream up. So be patient, keep practicing, and soon you will be turning your creative visions into reality with code. We are now going to modify the ground surface to give it a green, more realistic appearance without using any images. Instead of relying on background pictures, we will use simple colors and shapes to create a natural-looking surface. This approach helps keep the game lightweight and efficient while still improving its visual appeal. By experimenting with color fills and shading directly in the code, we can simulate grass or ground texture in a clean and effective way. This method is a great way to learn how to enhance graphics using basic programming techniques without the need for external assets. We hope you like and feel satisfied with our approach. Throughout this tutorial, our goal has been to keep things simple, clear, and easy to follow, while building a solid foundation in game development. By focusing on step-by-step explanations and practical examples, we aim to help you understand key concepts deeply and build your confidence in coding. your progress, understanding are what matter most, and we are here to support you every step of the way. We are now adding different shades to the ground to make it look more realistic and visually interesting. By using subtle variations in color and tone, we can create the effect of depth and texture without relying on images. This technique helps the ground feel more natural and dynamic, enhancing the overall atmosphere of the game. It's a great way to practice working with colors and gradients in code, allowing you to improve the visual quality while keeping the game efficient and simple. Adding these shading details is a small but effective step toward making your game environment more engaging and polished. We are now adding some brown, stone-like effects to the ground surface to give it more texture and realism. These subtle details help break up the solid green and make the ground look more natural and varied, as you could see in real outdoor environments. By using simple shapes or spots of brown within the green area, we create the impression of rocks or soil patches without needing complex images. This technique enhances the visual depth and adds interest to the scene while keeping the game lightweight and easy to run. It's a great way to practice adding small artistic touches that make a big difference in the overall look and feel of your game. We will create the illusion of movement by starting with the ground surface, which is a fundamental technique in many side-scrolling and endless runner games. By animating the ground to move continuously from right to left, it gives the player the feeling of forward motion without actually moving the player character's position too much. This helps keep the gameplay smooth and intuitive while making the environment feel alive and dynamic. Beginning with the ground surface allows us to focus on mastering the basics of animation, seamless looping, ensuring that the movement looks natural and uninterrupted. Once this effect is working well, it can be extended to other game elements like the background and obstacles, creating a fully immersive and engaging game world that reacts fluidly to player actions. This step also helps you understand key programming concepts related to timing, drawing, and updating game elements frame by frame. We are trying our best to keep everything simple and easy to follow. By establishing a basic game structure at the start, we create a solid foundation that we can build upon. Now, instead of starting from scratch each time, we update and improve the existing code step by step. This approach helps us focus on making clear, manageable changes without overwhelming complexity. By revisiting and refining what we have already written, we ensure the process stays straightforward and efficient, allowing you to understand how small adjustments can gradually enhance the game. Now we will create the illusion of movement for the background, which is an important step in making the game feel more dynamic and immersive. Just like we did with the ground, we will animate the background to scroll horizontally, giving the impression that the player is constantly moving forward through the game world. This not only makes the environment more lively, but also adds a sense of depth and progression to the gameplay. By adjusting the speed of the background movement, usually slower than the ground, we can simulate a parallax effect that enhances realism and visual appeal. Implementing this with simple shapes or repeated patterns keeps the game lightweight while still achieving a professional look. This step shows how thoughtful visual effects can significantly improve the overall feel of the game without requiring complex assets or heavy coding. Mistakes are truly one of the best parts of the learning process. They help you discover what does not work, guide you toward better solutions, and deepen your understanding of how things function. Every error is a chance to pause, think critically, and learn something new. In coding especially, mistakes are not setbacks. They are stepping stones that lead to stronger skills and more confidence. Instead of fearing them, embrace them as a natural and essential part of growth. The more you learn from your mistakes, the better and more capable you become. Now we will try out different background styles to see which one suits our game best. Testing various colors, patterns or visual effects helps us understand how each option affects the overall feel and atmosphere of the game. This step is not just about looks, it's about choosing a background that complements the gameplay and makes the experience more enjoyable. By experimenting and comparing, we learn how small visual choices can have a big impact, and we get to practice refining the game's design to make it both appealing and effective.